Fresh off their interdimensional shenanigans in their giant-sized special, Valiant's self-proclaimed world's worst superhero team are back in their new 4-issue miniseries, Quantum and Woody Must Die. So this week we're going to answer some basic questions for those of you new to the Quantum and Woody party. Now just a quick word of warning, there will be a few spoilers for the previous 12-issue run of the series. So if that's not your cup of tea, no harm, no foul, but you'll probably want to bail out of the video right about now. First, there was Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder. Then, there was Riggs and Murtaugh. Then, there was Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. After that, we had Django and Christoph Waltz, followed by Paul McCartney and Kanye West. And now here we are with Quantum and Woody. So our story begins with Quantum, real name Eric Henderson. When Eric was a boy, his mother died and he was left to be raised by his father, Derek, a brilliant scientist. Paying tribute to his dead wife's wishes, Derek adopts a child, a young orphan who spent most of his life in and out of the foster system, named Woody. We fast forward to adulthood, and Eric and Woody have grown apart and haven't really spoken in years. Eric, now working in private security, and Woody, a carefree con man, are brought together when their father is mysteriously murdered. Investigating this murder, the brothers check out their father's lab, accidentally activating the secret project he had been working on. The resulting explosion grants them quantum powers. Eric is able to create and manipulate energy fields, often poorly, and Woody is able to shoot energy blasts. In the explosion, gold wristbands were grafted onto their arms. Throughout the day, Quantum and Woody are building up energy. If they don't clang their wristbands together every 24 hours, they'll become overcharged and will die by explosion. And so with that, a buddy story of the ages is born. These days, the boys work freelance as heroes for money. Yeah, heroes for money.
No job is too big, no fee is too big.
As I've mentioned previously, we're primarily going to focus on the current era here at the Valiant Review. But with Quantum and Woody, there's a little bit of a caveat. So Quantum and Woody were originally created by writer Christopher Priest and illustrator Mark Bright back in 1997. The series was well received and developed quite a cult following. But in 2000, the publisher at the time, Acclaim, went out of business, and Quantum and Woody was cancelled, left unfinished. I bring this up because in 2014, Valiant released the long out of print run in an omnibus, and more importantly, released a 5-issue sequel by the original creators. This marks the first time we've had both iterations of a character exist simultaneously. So just about every superhero book these days has a degree of humor, but a tiny number of these would actually be considered a comedy first and foremost, something Quantum and Woody certainly qualifies as. Comedy comic books, as ironic as it may sound, has a bit of a stigma in the comic book community, and there's a couple of reasons I think Quantum and Woody really stands apart. The first thing I think is the approach. Between series writer James Asmus and artists such as Tom Fowler, Ming Doyle, and Kano, the series has a real understanding of comedy storytelling in this art form, and the book never really falls into a predictable rhythm with the kinds of comedy it uses. The style skillfully bounces from physical slapstick to verbal wordplay to satire, black comedy, and into parody. It helps make every issue a layered experience to read and keeps the comedy fresh and fun. But what really keeps the madcap comedy in check is the characters. This is really a story about family, and amid all the chaos, it's the truth that comes out of the quirks and flaws of the characters that really gives the series moments of pleasant but unexpected poignancy. So I know I already gave the spoiler warning, but I just wanted to say one more time, if you are planning on going back and reading the first 12 issues of the series, it is best not to be spoiled about the goat. Now having said that, since the goat's backstory is no longer being treated as a mystery in the book, it's likely to come up in the dialogue anyways. In a sentence, the goat is their father. Sort of. Okay, not really. So the goat was born just a plain old goat, and through a series of events known as life, one day the goat finds itself at a science expo. It just so happens to be the same expo Quantum and Woody's father was attending when Eric and Woody were boys. Their dad, Derek, was working as an assistant for a scientist that had created a machine that makes a digital copy of your mind. When the goat gets loose at the expo, the mind copying machine gets damaged and explodes. In the explosion, a copy of Quantum and Woody's father, Derek, is downloaded into the goat's head. The goat is quickly captured by a group of literal mad scientists and becomes the subject of their experiments, gaining superpowers, naturally. 17 years later, Quantum and Woody, out on their first adventure, inadvertently free the goat, later adopting it as their pet. And so that's going to do it for this week's Valiant Comics review. We'll be back next week with another exciting installment. You can subscribe below or go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Valiant Review.